Okay, so let's get started. And winter is a heavier, calming, let's say deep in the emotional time. So let's start seated comfortably. Get blocks, bolster, whatever you need to have freedom of movement in your upper body, but still have a grounded and comfortable seat underneath you. Because we're working with winter, I'm working with some heftier emotions. Find a comfortable seat, but one that you're able to lift from, and we'll just sway the upper body in the comfortable seat. And if you notice that your seat doesn't feel comfortable and when you sway you feel kind of stuck in your lower belly or your low back, add height underneath you. You can even shimmy from side to side to find your sit bones rooting down comfortably, and then we'll rock. You can have your hands wide open, you can make gentle fists, but let this swaying motion or gentle twisting action start to bring some feelings of awakeness, of movement through your torso. You'll breathe in, and then you'll breathe out. You can change it up by moving your hands towards your shoulders or letting your hands come to your belly. Either touch point changes the sensation, but also changes where you're focusing your attention. So if your hands are on your shoulders, you might notice what's happening in your shoulder blades, in your upper arms. If your hands are on your belly, it might be a nice way to connect to some inward loving kindness. The energy centers of the stomach are ones of self-creativity, self-motivation, grounding. The lower you go down. So whatever you're connecting to today, whether it's uplift or self-care, breathe in and breathe out. And we'll take 3 more breaths with this moving pattern, this gentle side to side rhythm. Let your breath come and let your breath go. And at the conclusion of your next exhale, pause your motion. Let your palms turn up in your lap and your shoulders settle over your hips. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. In through the nose and then back out. Set your mind to what you need from practice today, whether that's to be in community, to find stability in your joints, to be in connection with yourself. And take a breath there, acknowledging that sense of purpose. On your next inhale, you'll gather energy towards that purpose. Sweep your arms out and up. With your exhale, bring your palms down through center chest, moving slowly so you can feel that sense of hugging in towards yourself. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, stretching out and up. Exhale, drawing through center. Inhale, reaching. Exhale. One more time for good measure. Inhale, stretch up. Now this time as you exhale, keep the right arm lifted. Let the left hand come down by the floor, or you can rest your hand on blocks. The left hand comes down, the right arm reaches over. Now as you lean, you might feel your upper body shift over. Shift your bum back down. Try to reach your right side body over to the right. Then take the right hand overhead to the left so the whole of your right side line gets as long as it can from a solid foundation. Breathe in and out. We'll pass through center. Inhale, both arms go up. And with your exhale, this time the right hand will come down. You can shift your blocks if you're using them, or set blocks to either side. The right hand comes down, the left arm lifts. And again, if you're sinking over to the right, try to find that sense of shift. So your hips stay level, but your left side body gets really big. Inhale, reaching up. On your exhale, sustain. And we'll add in. Inhale, arms go straight up. Exhale, the left hand down, the right arm high, side bend. Inhale, back to center, but keep the left hand down. And with your exhale, bring your right hand to your left thigh and your left hand behind your back. You can half bind your arm, or you can slide the blocks behind your back for extra support. You'll turn, you'll get tall as you inhale, and rotate to the left as you exhale. Breathing in and twisting out. Inhale, both arms go up through center. With your exhale, set the right hand down, let your left arm reach high. With your inhale, you'll realign your spine. And with your exhale, the left hand comes to the right thigh. The right hand can come to blocks behind you, or you can half bind your right hand so it pokes around to the left. Get tall through the in-breath. Look to the right as you exhale. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, your arms go high. Stretch. Look up as you exhale. Pause here, keeping the bum really grounded. Bring your elbows into cactus shape and try to reach your chest up towards the ceiling. So a bit of opening across the chest. It's a nice counter to a lot of the rounding we do because of the cold weather of winter. So let your chest lift. Try to hug some strength and support through the belly so the low back feels supported. Maybe you can look up a little more. Breathe in. With your exhale, you'll come forward, bring your hands to the floor, table, hands and knees. Well, I'll move my props around to demo well. You can put a blanket underneath your knees if your knees are tender. We'll find a cat-cow first, just to find some simple movement that links with breath. So your knees are underneath your hips, your hands or fists are underneath your shoulders. On an inhale, you'll arch your back. On an exhale, you'll round. Inhale, maybe you chug or roll through the shoulders. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale, arch. This time as you exhale, you'll round back into child's pose. If your back feels like it needs a little bit more support, you can keep your knees in today. Bring your hands towards your feet. Forehead comes to the floor. If your forehead can't quite reach the floor, you can place blocks underneath so that your forehead gets contact with something, and you can take a gentle rock of your head from side to side, massaging out your forehead, your brow. Feel your breath come in and feel your breath go out. All right. If there is something underneath your head, you can move it out of the way. Unless it's a blanket, you might find a blanket useful. We're going to set up a pose called rabbit. Sometimes folks like to have something comfortably soft underneath their head. I'll show you why. So from child's pose, you can keep your hands back towards your heels. You'll roll onto the top of your head, holding onto your heels. Lift your hips as high as they'll go. It might not be very high because holding onto your heels will keep you sort of contained in a tight little ball. When you feel complete, you'll bring your hips down. You can take a few rockings up and back like this, such that you lift up and pause. And come back down as you feel done. This is a nice pose to visualize anything extra that's in your mind, just sort of settling out and down. Let your breath come in and your breath go out. The next time you come down, you'll stay down and sit up on the tops of your feet. You can slide the blanket back if you were using a blanket underneath your head. And we'll come back to table, but this time we'll really look to anchor in some strength across the body. If you need a sway from side to side as you're coming back up, that's great. That's a nice way to say hello. But you'll extend your right leg straight back. Tap the right toes down and try to keep the hips square. So if reaching the right foot back rolls your hip, try to notice that and bring your right hip in line with your left. Both forward and backwards in space, but also up and down. From here, you can stay here, or you can take your left hand to the small of your back and use your left hand to help keep your hips level as your right leg lifts. Now, the stabilizing that happens here is happening in a lot of different muscle groups. So if you're feeling really pulled down in discomfort in your wrist, you can use blocks and then put your forearm on a block instead. But keep looking to feel square hips and the integration that helps you stabilize, even if it feels really wobbly. And you'll breathe in and you'll breathe out. Yeah, 3 breaths. Maybe the left arm reaches forward for these last 3, maybe not. Now 2. One more inhale. With your exhale, put your left hand down, take your right foot over to the right. Give your hips a gentle sway from side to side, which might bring you into the experience of your inner groin, or if your hamstrings are tight, you might notice them. You can stay right here, or take the left arm out and thread it right underneath so the left hand moves towards the right foot. This becomes a twisting action. Your left hand does not need to touch your foot, but reaching in that direction helps to turn your chest. So you can stay here with the right hand acting as a support, or You can reach the right arm behind you, either towards the space behind you if you have space, or towards the small of your back. Turning your upper body towards the ceiling. We'll breathe in. And then we'll breathe out. Take one more inhale. And another exhale. Let your right hand come down if it's lifted. Press down into your left hand to help free the right. Root down through both palms or fists, whatever you're using, and softly bend into your right knee until you feel like you can lift it up. You can bring the right knee to tap the right elbow. Maybe it taps across to the left elbow. You'll step the right foot to the right edge of your mat eventually. Bring some blocks to the inside edge of your right foot and let your hips come forward and down for a lizard lunge. We'll take some circular motion in the hips. So you can let the hips come down, but then circle them back. And take a few rounds of this. You can move in either direction, so if it feels more natural to start from the back and swing out and forward, great. You can swing back. Whatever works. If there's a spot that feels good to linger in, do. Yeah. And let the breath in. And let the breath go out. Okay. When you feel complete, the next time your hips shift back to stack over your left knee, pause. Walk the right knee to the right and set the right knee beside the left knee. You can use your hands to support you as you come up to stand on your knees. If you have a block that is a full-size block, you can set it between your thighs and squeeze. This will be a nice way to integrate the legs. You'll hug in, send the hips forward, and that drawing in action helps keep space for the small of your back. And from here, maybe you stay with your hands towards your hips or the small of your back. If it feels all right, you can explore lifting the arms up. So we're low to the ground, but we're looking for a sense of uplift, a gentle back bend in the chest. If you feel like you're crunching in your low back, keep your hands towards your bum. Send your hips forward. It doesn't matter how high your chest goes or even how high your eyes go, just that you have the sense of making space from your belly button to your collarbone. Breathe in. And then breathe out. One more breath in. With your exhale, you'll come down. If there's a block underneath you, take it out. And you can come towards child's pose or table with a cat-cow. For child's pose, the option to shift into rabbit is there again, with the head on the floor and the hands towards the heels. Take a few moments to re-establish your breath rhythm. Allowing your breath to stabilize you in whatever pose or movement pattern you've chosen for the moment as a reset. When it's time for the second side, you'll come to table if you're not already there. Check that your hips are level. And you can be on fists, flat palms, or on a row of blocks underneath your forearm, whatever works best. You'll extend the left leg behind you, looking to level your hips off. Sometimes it helps to keep the left toes on the ground and the left toes directly behind the left hip so you can look underneath you to check. Once you find your stability, whatever that looks like in your body, you can take your right hand to the small of your back or to your hip and lift your left leg up. If it's too much lifting the left leg, just put the right hand back down, or even tap the left toes back down and emphasize whatever it is that's creating stability here in your body. For most of us, it's the belly and the inner leg line that help to support. Cool. Let your breath come in. Maybe the right arm extends forward for the last 3 breaths. I have to turn around for a second. One more breath in. On an exhale, you'll take the left leg over to the left, allowing the left foot to come down in line with the right knee. You can shift again the hips from side to side and observe what happens in the pelvis as you do. When you're ready for the next shape, let's take your right arm out to the side. Thread it under towards your left leg, towards your extended leg. And again, you can put something under your right shoulder if the floor feels impossibly far away. Maybe you stay here with the left hand supporting you. Maybe your left arm reaches up and back or to your hip. Take a breath in and a breath out. You can linger here as long as you like, feeling for a steady breath rhythm. When you feel ready to move, the left hand comes down to support the freeing up of the right. And from here, press really firmly down through your hands and even the top of your right foot so that you can slowly pick up the left knee and hug it towards your left elbow. Maybe you can see if it taps across towards your right elbow. But eventually the left knee towards the left elbow will become lizard lunge. The left foot steps to the outside edge of your hands. Grab some blocks for support and let your hips come forward and down. Walk the left foot forward so that the heel of the left foot is directly underneath your left knee, and then you start to take some hip circles. It will feel, or can feel, quite different from one side to the other. So as you're moving, see if you can maybe close your eyes and ask your body what you're feeling right now. Get really curious about what's happening in this moment. maybe your body says, hey, I want to stay for a moment, and you do. That's okay. When the shape feels complete, you'll shift your hips back. Set the left knee down beside the right knee. And put a block between your thighs again. Hugging in. Lift your chest up. You can play in the small of your back if you're noticing that your bum is shifting back. Try to engage ever so slightly in the glutes. Lift the belly up and send the chest high. If you feel like the front line of your belly is sinking or the front line of your body is sinking, come back to just lengthening up. And think of it that way. Rather than how deep of a back bend you can get, think about lengthening your front line. We'll take a breath in and then a breath out. We'll come back to center. You can come to child's pose again, or table, hands and knees. We'll be setting up side lying with support momentarily, but you can take a moment's rest in between. So that can be child's pose or cat-cows if that feels like the best use of movement for your body. We'll be setting up a supported variation of side lying. So I've got lots of props here to show variations. You can use a blanket underneath your hip. We'll do the right side first. The right hip can come onto the blanket, and your bolster is going to be what creates the stretch across your side body. If you're not using a bolster, you can roll up a blanket or towels to get the desired amount of height underneath you, but you'll reach your right side body over the bolster. And then you can use blocks or a blanket as a pillow for your head. Or a combination of those things so that your head is roughly in line with your neck and roughly in line with your chest. Now, a couple of additional options here. You're welcome to extend the left leg. I find that when I do this, I need something underneath the left knee, like a block or multiple blocks. You might also find that you want to take your left arm up and overhead. As we're exploring the side line and getting a little bit quieter in the physical body, check in with your breathing. Is it steady? Is it holding? And for these next few moments, consciously look to make your breath a little longer. because this is a more restorative style shape, if there's something along your body that feels uncomfortable after we've been here for a minute, change it. So maybe you decide to bring both knees in and bend them. Maybe you change the position of your left arm. It doesn't need to be the biggest stretch ever. We're looking to cultivate a sense of ease that can have awareness threaded through it. Training the mind and body in softness and acceptance. If this shape is cultivating peace and ease in your body and mind, stay as long as you like. When you feel complete, you'll press down into your left hand to help you come up. Let your right knee stay bent, but if you have the space or the inclination, the foot can come in line with the knee. You'll set the left foot on the ground so that the knee is lifted, and we'll come a little bit forward. So hands can be on the ground in front of you, and you might feel a little bit of an opening across your hips. This is more yin than restful. We'll stay here, looking for a sense of link through the spine, but also a groundedness in the left foot. And let your breath come in and your breath go out. Walk your hands in underneath you. Before we switch sides, take your whole body and turn towards the long edge of your mat, or the short edge of your mat, away from the bolster. You'll cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Now with the bolster still behind you, you can rest your elbows on it and gently give your figure four, or sometimes I call it a cradle, a rock from side to side. If you feel your chin is moving towards your chest, try to press down into your elbows and reach your head back. If that feels too effortful, you can make a sort of cat-cow style motion out of it. Inhaling and exhaling, such that the head moves away as you inhale and hugs a little closer as you exhale. When you feel complete with the rocking, we'll be switching sides of our bolster side bend. So the most easeful way to do that is to let everything tip over to the left. You can let your right knee come on top of your left knee, and then you'll guide the bolster into the left side body The left arm comes over the top and your head finds whatever comfortable support you were using on the other side. Now, maybe you're using blocks underneath your top leg so that it can extend. A block or blocks. Maybe you're taking your right arm up and over your head. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can come off mute or put it in the chat bar. Be here for another moment or two, so if there's a change that you'd like to make the pose feel more easeful, more comfortable, maybe adding more padding under your hip or changing your position slightly, feel free to make those changes. As you find the sense of ease that comes with a restorative shape, observe the sensations that come along with it. The quiet or the distance from the outside. It might feel like sleepiness or thoughtfulness. Allow yourself to be with what comes up. When it's time to come out, you'll bring the right hand to the floor or your bolster. Press down into your hand and your left elbow or left palm as you come up. You'll keep the left knee bent and bring the sole of your right foot to the floor. As you do this, sometimes the left foot tucks underneath you, but bring it a bit forward, even if you need to add more support to make that happen. Your right foot can go as wide as is comfortable, but let the right foot find grounding, and you'll walk your hands forward. It's okay if your right hip stays lifted. We're just looking for another way to find some space today. So maybe your hands come forward. Some folks can come down onto the elbows, but it's not required. Breathe in and breathe out. This pose can have that yin-like quality of pulling at a thread in fabric until it comes a little bit loose. You can stay with that as long as it feels good, or come up. You'll pivot towards the feet end of your mat. Plant the sole of the right foot on the floor and cross the left ankle over the top for a gentle figure 4 rocking. You can hug the right foot in as much as it feels good or as much as is supportive. We'll keep the rocking very simple today. So elbows resting on your bolster if you're using one. You can do the elbows on the floor if that works too. But let the left ankle cross over the right thigh. And as you rock, set your neck at a comfortable place. When you feel complete here, we will be setting up Shavasana. I'm going to offer 2 options in addition to a regular Shavasana flat on your back, which is probably familiar at this point. If you're feeling a lot of congestion in your chest or tightness, grief even, stay with the bolster underneath your chest and lean your head back. So it's a variation of supported fish. You might just need to adjust to find the place where your shoulders and arms are comfortable. You can rest the soles of the feet on the ground and knock the knees together, or if it feels better to extend the legs or even come into a butterfly shape. Any of these options are fair game. The other option for Shavasana that I was intending to offer today is the belly down version. When the outside world feels very big, one way to really get deep into a Shavasana is to let yourself focus inward. So you can use blocks or rolled up towels. We'll be setting them right here at the chest-shoulder junction. And then have another blanket roll underneath the head. So you can make a face cradle out of a blanket and towel, but you want to allow your head and chin to have similar support so the back line of your neck is relatively even. And you can see that I also have a blanket underneath my belly, so that helps to create some support. You can use the towel underneath your forehead. If that's not enough support or your chin needs more, you make a little U shape and turn it into a face cradle for yourself. However you're choosing to find final rest, make sure that it's a comfortable place. You can close your eyes or cover them. And take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. If you have the space and time to stay in Shavasana a little longer, please do. You can always linger. Otherwise, if you were belly down, take a breath. Bring your hands underneath you, and as you exhale, you'll press down into your hands to come up through table and then sit back onto your hips to heels. You're welcome to sit on blocks. If you were in a traditional Shavasana or in a variation of supported fish, you'll bring the soles of your feet to the ground. Roll to one side and press up to seated. Get tall again through your spine. Take a breath in. And a breath out. After resting, you might notice your body feels different. If a little bit of movement feels nice to help you reintegrate, you can find our swaying from the beginning of class, or just shimmy through the shoulders and wiggle through the hips until you feel grounded in your body. You take a breath in, and then a breath out. Land one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart space. Reach the back of your head back in space so that you're very tall. Check in with the hand that's on your belly as you breathe in. And as you breathe out. And check in with the hand that's on your heart as you inhale. And as you exhale, honoring whatever it was that got you to your mat today. From the space of inward looking, take your hand from your belly onto the top of the hand on your chest, and we'll acknowledge that other people have come together in this practice today. We'll take a gentle bow, honoring that commitment to practice internally, externally, in ourselves and each other. May all beings be peaceful. Thank you all so much for sharing practice.